say it's jolly hot outside. Let me gently introduce our panel for tonight's debate. The magic Dr. Orlando, indefatigable Kathleen Taylor.
Hello.
The somewhat legendary Jason Springer now.
JT, what's good?
What's up? That marvel of sophistication.
Hello.
Jane Carter.
I didn't even wait for it.
Joining us tonight, Mikey Pokorny.
Hello.
Fresh from stand-up, the last stand-up he's ever going to do.
As fresh as it's going to get.
Me, Jeremy
right
Taylor,
out of the package.
here. You're listening to Wednesday Night Undressed, or Old People Complaining. The first question I have for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is I didn't realise what sad people there are in the audience, but what is your most useful tool? What is your most useful tool? We'll
As
start.
all the guys get sarcastic grins on their faces.
Now, I want to just because somebody said something like, I did not ask what your most useful machine is. I said, what is your most useful tool?
It's in my brain more than anything else, to be honest.
Is that a tool?
Yeah, because I use it to solve problems and make my life better.
Mine's a machine.
That's what tools do. Tools solve problems and get things done. That's what my brain does.
So
That's by far my most useful
So what
tool.
you're saying is it's your brain.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have a brain. All right, let's
Mine's
try
a sharp
one of the ladies.
knife. A good paring knife makes life
Okay,
much
describe it.
easier.
Which one is it?
I like the one with the red on the outside because I can sharpen it easily. It goes dull fairly quickly, but it takes a brilliant, sharp edge to it.
Mikey, what's your most useful tool?
Well, I am a machine. So I would have to say my wit.
Your wit.
Yes, my most useful tool. It's sometimes more useful to think on your feet, become able to make effective decisions quickly more than they are efficiently.
Isn't that your brain?
No, I already said my body is my machine. So, what did I say? I am my machine?
You said you are a machine.
I am the machine, so does that mean my body?
Your wit is your tool.
Or is there more intrinsic?
Dr. Orlando, I can't see. Is that the T-1000 over there, man? I can't see you real well.
Maybe we should put him
Have
in a
you
battle
seen
lava
this
just to
young
make
boy?
sure.
Yes, let's do it.
Have you seen this young boy?
Your wit. Dr. Orlando.
Honestly, I kind of like Springer's idea of the mind, but I'm gonna.
You can't use that, can you? Because he's already used his.
Exactly.
You know
That is exactly what I'm.
And that's the problem.
That's
You know
where
what
I'm
you two are
going.
like.
I can't use it because he already has, so I have to like
It's okay to
reinforce
agree.
this. What the fuck is the point of that?
We're not an echo chamber.
So, like, I have to then go for the mind-body split and say that since we are all merely perceptions on God's infinite wisdom, that
God.
my favorite
Kill
tool
me now.
would be... I'm going to actually kind of go along with that a little bit, I think, and say that the tool that I most use is an encyclopedia, or maybe the more recent version, the Wikipedia. That is probably the most valuable thing that I consult on a regular basis.
So far, I could take all of you guys. You guys have your minds and a
wait,
Wikipedia.
wait,
I
wait.
have a knife. I have a knife.
Wait, I always know where my towel is. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, did anybody get that besides Kath?
Jane
Did
Carter,
anybody get that besides Kath?
Jane Carter, I'm
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
expecting,
No one.
I'm expecting
No.
something sophisticated from you.
I would say
Yeah,
mine
she
is a tie, and I'd have to think a little harder on this, but right now it's a tie between bobby pins and Paduki. Paduki is basically a hair tie, like a rubber band tie, mainly because I have a shit ton of hair, and I have to pull it back and or up or out, but there
It
are
is
so
curly,
many.
isn't
I've
it?
seen her without her hairband. Well, I'll take that back. I haven't
it's a
seen her
lot.
because you don't see her when she hasn't got her hair tied.
So
It is always around my wrist. There's always a use for bobby pins and ties. Always, always, always.
So what was
Besides
the
my
last time you
ridiculous
had
hair.
short hair?
In 9th grade, it will
that by
never happen
design?
again.
Was it like, did
No,
you go get a cut?
you
or
know,
did
you start
somebody cut
following
your
your
hair for
friends. You start following your friends, and they all get their hair cut short. And I got
That's
my
how I
hair
got
cut
this.
short, and it looked like I had a triangle head
I see.
because, I went to a person who doesn't know how to cut big
Curly hair.
bouffant curly
Yeah.
hair, and they just did what they normally do to straight-haired people, and it was absurd.
Destroy their lives.
It looked horrible.
Yes.
My daughter has that very same problem. She has big corkscrew curls, and yeah, if she doesn't go to someone that is actually an expert at cutting curly hair, chaos ensues.
Yeah.
So,
Jeremy, I want to add something to this. So, the most useful tool that I could not live without, hands down, toilet paper. Hands down.
dude, get a bidet.
You can't use toilet paper
No,
with your hands down.
No,
I would say that's more of an implement than a tool.
that's what the tools are. They're implements.
well,
Just like
let's-
knives to go kill people.
Let's all.
So
let's
far
split
we've had
hairs
one
until
tool,
we're- till we're
maybe
bald.
two.
No, dude, we've had 5 tools so
No,
far.
I've been writing it. You've got brain.
We are not
wit,
all tools.
Well, what's yours?
Wiki, screwdriver.
I'm sorry, define
Screwdriver.
tool.
All right.
It almost sounds like the
I've been-
Wizard of Oz, doesn't it? The brain, the wit.
Conroy,
Courage.
We have a
we need
question
an
for
arbiter.
you.
What
We
is
have a
your without
quandary.
being coarse? Without being coarse, right?
Too late.
What is your most useful tool?
Useful or used?
Useful tool.
Most useful tool.
Yeah.
Well, my brain.
Suck it, buddy.
And, well, you know how my brain works. And my screwdriver. Yeah, no.
Look at that.
I just don't
Put the microphone
go into my
down.
toolbox very often.
Look
Okay,
at
put the
that.
mic down before you say something silly.
Mending fences. Look at that. Mending fences.
Okay, let's move on.
Your
That
brain's useless without the rest of
I
the
was sort of expecting,
system.
a ratchet hammer or a wrench or something.
I'm sorry, I think you're talking to I think you're aiming that question for a much older generation.
Fucking liberals. That's the trouble you've got.
Okay, fine. How about a drill, man? Is that
No,
what you
it's
want?
too late now.
vibrator. Does
Yeah.
the
We
internet
We got
count?
one for vibrator.
If Evo
Does
had
the
been
internet
here, it would have
count?
been a
6 for
vibrator.
vibrator.
Yeah.
We've got 10 for vibrator.
And the comment from the audience is, if the vibrator
Or
mowed
a
the lawn,
baseball
you might marry
bat.
it.
That's a pretty good tool.
That's why
that
you
solves
don't
a lot
marry
of
a
problems.
So you're
vibrator.
gonna marry someone else.
How about a spoon?
A spoon.
Actually,
I thought
yeah.
a fork. A fork is
Actually,
even better. Well, no, you can't eat soup with a fork, can you?
Boom.
Oh, I have.
Okay,
Yeah.
here
Oh,
I
we
have.
go.
That doesn't shock me at all.
I have.
You are suddenly subject to a mandatory evacuation. After you have the family and the pets in the car, as well as important documents and pictures, etc., what would be the one personal, sentimental item that you'd grab? So I repeat, you've got the kids, the human beings, the dog, the cat, the pictures, all that stuff. What would be the one sentimental item you grab?
I would never put my girlfriend in the same car as my wife. Come on, let's be serious.
Come on, let's use your brain. That's a good tool. Let's go.
start with Mikey. The National Guard are
But you just said
outside.
you've got everything else that you need.
You've got
so
the National. You've got the National
Well, he
Guard,
put
and
photos in-
you just got an opportunity to grab something. As you're leaving, what would it be? What would it be?
Regrets.
No, it's got to be
He's
an
had a
item.
few.
All right, let me start you off. With me, it would be my teddy bear. Right?
that
it would
is
be
not
poo.
an inconsiderable teddy bear.
Yeah,
That
it
sucker
would-
is big.
How old is it?
Same age as Jeremy.
63. Yeah, he's
That is something.
December 19.
Really is something.
He is a
It would
cool
be my
bear.
teddy bear. So what would you grab? It's something sentimental. It's not important. It's not a flashlight or a...
You mean it's not utilitarian?
Yeah.
No.
It's just
I
your...
take my sharp
Specifically for
knife.
you.
Yeah,
Hell.
Had a
specifically for
connection
you.
to you.
What would you grab?
My
the
sharp
National Gu-
knife.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I would. I mean, it's the most useful thing I've got, so why not take it with me?
So what sentimental value does the knife have? Did you kill someone with this knife?
If you're getting evacuated, you might have the opportunity.
As you wish. All right.
Well, I know what I would take.
What would
so
you take?
I would take my grandfather's World War II diary that,
Ooh,
that I
that's a
have.
good answer.
Yeah.
So that's the
Great.
one thing
That's
that
a
I
good idea. Okay. Mikey is still working on which tool he prefers. Jason.
I would probably take a copy of Amazing Spider-Man 129 with the first appearance of the Punisher. Because comic books that's like the piece of my childhood that I've kept all my life. And that book is probably the first big-time book that I ever bought with my own money that I earned myself. And that's just a big part of who I am.
Dr. Orlando.
Yeah, unfortunately, my collection was destroyed. And that was really the last, like, truly sentimental thing that I carried around with me. So I don't know that there's anything else that I would, like, that only has purely sentimental value. I'm not sure that there's anything else at this point.
Your favorite, bestest thing,
I mean, outside of my phone, which we've talked about before, this is like my touchstone. I'm not sure that I have, like, truly sentimental possessions at this point. If there are, there's, like, once I got to the point where my kids are safe, my wife is safe, and as you said already, I've already got all my photos. Like when I'm getting rounded up and headed out, like. Kids are taken care of, wife's taken care of, photos taken care of. I'm assuming dog is included in that because he's part of the family.
Pets.
Yeah, everything else that's
the
part
National Guard guy said, right, guy, just quick walk around, lock everything. We're out of here.
No, I wouldn't. My car keys aren't even that. Like they're not the thing that I would go and look for, as far as like a touchstone of like my past life. Because quite honestly, all of my touchstones are ethereal at this point. So there's not a whole lot that I would
Mikey,
want.
have you come to anything?
I don't have any kids, pets, or anything to shove into the car. Why the hell would I have anything else?
So I don't know. You might have a model train or.
How about your
well,
favorite
we would
book?
think we did. Well, we would think I did,
How about
but
your own
no,
pillow?
I have nothing. I am out the door, ready to go. I don't have anything. No
Kathleen,
sentimental value.
I might grab.
I'm sorry, I thought you were taking the knife.
I was taking the knife. That's much more useful. But the only thing that has a sentimental grab on me are the jewelry that my grandmother made.
Very nice.
Well, it wasn't very nice. It was actually really pretty horrible.
No, I'm saying that's a good choice.
Still, your grandma made it.
It's polished rocks in settings that she bought, and it's just she worked on it.
Wow, you guys all have
That's a good
stuff.
point, actually, because I've got a
Yeah.
ring from my great
What's it like to have
a
stuff?
turquoise ring that I got when he died. I would definitely grab that. Yeah.
My evil genius mug. I would grab that.
There you go.
Now you're starting to think about it until you see. Yes. Okay, now I'm English, as you all know.
Do I have to pick something? Do I have to?
Mike
Okay,
has
Mikey,
finally
we were going
decided.
to start something. Go on.
Do I have to?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Like, I
Yes.
have to.
You have to stay in that house until you pick something, which
Yeah.
means you may never survive.
Mikey, if you
right.
don't
You
pick
are
something,
dead.
we're all gonna die.
Okay.
Gas
like,
is coming. You got to go.
Actually, I'm just going to eat
There's
it.
a picture of my dad.
Killing it.
Okay.
There's a picture of my dad when he was in college that I have in my room. I would take that.
Good for you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a way to have a heart.
so hard?
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Now,
Saying I'm gonna lose it. It's the
as I
end of
said,
the world.
I'm English and pink at the moment. What advice, fellow Americans with an M, what advice and personal tips do you guys have for me on how I might deal with the heat?
Don't go outside.
Okay, don't go outside.
Don't grow really big bouffant hair.
Yeah.
So don't
That
have big
sucks.
hair.
Yeah.
Don't go outside. Don't have big hair, Mikey.
Live nocturnally.
Take cold showers.
Cold showers, yeah.
That helps.
Yeah, become a
Be
vampire.
black.
Be black.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could
really
try
helps.
that.
Okay,
It
look,
really
I
does.
just
Yeah.
have to, for shit and giggles, I'm
You
going to
guys
answer
get
this question. Just because you're of color, it doesn't make any difference, does it? It's still fucking
No, we
hot
still
out.
die in like
Yeah.
insane numbers when things get hot.
Yeah.
And
so,
you get
so the cool
sunburned, too?
designation does not have anything to do
It
with
takes
the
a
heat.
bit, but yes, I have had sunburn once in my life.
Right. So, everything's normal. It's not a... There's no difference.
I'm sorry, did this become a science show before
Yeah.
we asked this
No, I'm
question?
just-
You started it. You
Is
started
that Bill
it.
Nye the Science Guy?
You said be
1000
black,
Bill
and
Nye
that got
Science
his little gears a rolling.
so
right.
so nobody else has made a joke here tonight? Is that the way this works?
Well, when you get sunburn and you peel, is the layer underneath darker
We
or
were-
lighter?
Believe it or not, it's usually darker.
Wow.
So like
That's-
when I peel, the skin that is actually burned actually becomes light and translucent and see-through, and so you can see the dark layer of skin underneath.
See, that is why we are
No,
here.
you
We're
see,
here to
the
learn.
reality is that that's the single most interesting thing, that someone driving along in their car who's white, they don't know that. And it's, I think it's very decent of you to actually explain it. Because,
Oh, I don't mind.
you know...
I love talking about me. It's my favorite subject.
Well, you are-
Kathleen, what advice and personal
aficionado on
tips
our
do you have for me?
Lots of iced tea,
Lots of iced tea.
not sweetened. Just plain iced tea.
Actually, isn't iced tea not good if it's super, super hot? Because too much iced tea will is a
Dehydrate you?
diuretic. Yeah, dehydrates
Yeah,
you.
but I don't care because,
We
It's
had
tea.
some guys
It's tea.
working on a
I'm sorry,
house in
Dargo, being
England.
He's
serious.
English.
After giving you guys shit for being serious
We
about
had some
me,
guys
then all of
working on a
sudden I'm
house
there.
in England, and it was about 75 out, and they were complaining about the heat. Seriously hot, 75.
Oh, yeah, they were
pushing it.
dying.
Did you say 75?
Yeah.
You mean
And
75
she said,
Celsius?
And Kathleen says to one of the guys, "Would you like some iced tea?" And they all look horrified, but one of them thought, we
They
better
were
say
drinking
yes.
tea by the gallon, hot tea.
Better say yes.
And complaining
So she
about the heat
brings
at the
out-
same time.
She brings out this iced tea, and so they all dutifully went, "Thank you very much, ma'am. You know, thank you," because she's the boss lady. You know, she went back inside. All the tea, with one exception, went straight to the flower pot, right? And one guy tried it, and I was watching him, and he's going, "Really?" You know, and it went in the flower pot. Brits drink tea. India, very hot tea.
So pretentious.
What can I say?
Yeah.
So, in other words, he's asking us for advice and then telling us we're wrong.
Yeah,
Well, I
pretty
just
much. That's
wondered
exactly-
whether there was
exactly.
something that I was
That's why I
missing.
said just don't go
I'm sorry.
outside.
I'm gonna step up and speak for the whole panel here for just a second and say, "Fuck you, Jeremy."
Yeah, in America,
Ditto.
we may not have had a hot stove, okay, when we are carousing through Manifest Destiny. Sometimes it had to be cold.
Okay, I have one little important bit of advice. If your car has been sitting in the sun and the driver's seat has been in the sun, do not get in it with shorts on.
Especially if your seats are leather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's painful.
Favorite summer smell? Searing hot butt flesh.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
No. That's not
That's
it.
definitely not my favorite.
No.
I just like the
So,
smell of
on to
bacon.
physical stuff.
Oh dear.
So, what physical sport have you each enjoyed participating? What physical
This is
sport?
another one of those where you can get so many double entendre here.
Right, no, I
What's your
don't-
most useful tool? Then what physical sport do you enjoy? I mean, what are you getting at
I have to
this
live with
time?
her. She says he has a filthy mind.
Wait.
Yeah, he
Kath,
loves
are you
it.
telling me that you've never played sports in your life?
I have.
Okay,
I bet
so
I
what
could beat
sport-
you at ping
so
pong.
what sport did you enjoy?
I could beat every one of you at ping pong.
Really?
Like at the same
Together.
time.
I would take you right now.
Oh yeah.
Let's go.
Oh yeah.
Let's throw down. I'm ready
I
to go.
played for the
Don't wanna
police
go there.
department
Jeremy's
in
telling me no.
Miami.
All right.
You really don't want to
No?
say no.
She gonna smoke me? he's thinking about
Okay.
it. Yep.
So, if you're going to play table tennis, seriously, right?
Yeah.
You're going to wear t-shirts, yes?
Well, you can't do topless, so I
No,
guess.
but you're going to wear a t-shirt, right?
All right.
Okay. So you want to play Kathleen in her t-shirt?
Well, I don't care.
Where are your eyes going?
I'm looking at the ball because I want to win the damn game.
Nah, you're done.
Dude, you were.
So,
don't be a sexist pig.
well, what's on the
He
line?
is. He
Don't
is.
be a
I'm
sexist
gonna,
pig.
I'm gonna have to beat the crap out
You
of
gotta
him.
be.
thank you.
You gotta
God.
smack him with a paddle. Uh-huh.
I know. I know. It's
He's got two balls.
great.
Yeah, you like this, don't you? Yeah.
Ooh, onion rings over the
Onion
next table.
rings. Onion rings.
Oh no, not
Yes.
now,
Yes.
not me.
Yes. Yes.
But Jeremy, to answer your question,
Yeah. So.
Yes.
What?
What's the answer?
So Kathleen, I know is table
we got
tennis.
Yeah,
ping
table
pong.
tennis.
Okay.
That's the one thing
Sorry.
I've enjoyed playing.
Okay.
I used to play it so much I would dream ping pong. My hands would be going back and
Maybe
forth.
sweet.
I see.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Okay. So, just Dr. Orlando.
My current physical.
Karate.
Yeah.
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 Very nice.
I love the sparring. I absolutely love sparring.
Yeah. I can understand that. Absolutely.
Want a bite?
Especially when you have a one-on-one competition versus like a team versus team.
Mr. Springer now.
Let's see. If I had to pick one, basketball. Yeah, probably.
Okay.
That or close second would be baseball.
Now I know this is very
Baseball. Cool.
very difficult and not terribly sophisticated. But what favourite sport do you like? What did you like to participate
Sporting
in?
activity.
And it could
Archery.
be back when you were a young thing.
Archery, and I know everybody's gonna make fun of me for this, but knife throwing. I was really good at it when I
That
was
is
younger.
awesome.
I was
Actually,
really good at it.
those
One of
two
you.
things, like,
That is
you
cool.
just earned like double cool points for both of those.
Yep.
Because quite honestly, like archery, probably before I got to karate, I would have said archery was like the most fantastic thing that I had ever
But not
done.
compound bows. Like
What do you use?
actual
Longbows? Oh,
Longbows.
see, that's even
Are
okay.
you, are
triple
you
cool points.
actually Wonder Woman?
I think so.
Yeah, any woman
she
who
is.
has a proficiency in throwing sharp objects at high
It's
speeds
not someone I can date.
Now I want to go to the Renaissance
gains
Festival with you,
respect
so
in
we can,
my
like,
eye.
go
In
through
fact,
it.
Those are
it's
so
hotter.
rigged, though.
It's hotter.
They are
The
rigged.
knives are shitty and
but the
way
axes.
wrong and
See, yours is
How
not
did you
as-
get
mine's-
into this?
Mine's axes.
How'd you get into this?
Axes.
honestly.
Okay. Honestly.
I used to work at this shitty little Tex-Mex restaurant when I was like 15 or 16, and I
Right.
got really bored one day. So I would pick up all the small bread knives
Right.
and go back and have target practice with the bread boxes and the chip boxes.
Right.
And that's how it started. And then when I was 16. I actually had a really great Native American friend who threw hatchets and stuff, and he gave me some pointers and stuff, and then I just kind of did it
That is so
myself.
goddamn cool.
And that was that.
What about
So you're
balance?
the reason why I can't cut my butter at that restaurant. The knives are so.
And what's interesting is there's some little Indian guy somewhere who owns a Tex-Mex place, and he's to this
He didn't
day
run the Tex-Mex place.
he has never understood why the rats put slits in those boxes. He's never understood whether
I did ruin a few things, so, you know. I never said anything, and nobody ever said anything to me, so it's all good.
Yes. Sorry. I want a beer.
Dear.
So, Mikey, what about you?
Oh, I played every sport. I am a master of every domain. But what's my favorite?
Yeah.
High school I wrestled. High school I footballed. In high school I did tennis a little bit.
Did you say you rustled?
I wrestled.
Okay, just checking.
And football.
I footballed. I
Just
did
checking.
football. But I don't know. Nothing has been my favorite. I say video gaming out of all of those is my favorite sport because everyone has an even edge. Everyone has an even edge. Just depends on how fast your internet connection is. That's it. That's the only.
But how was that a
equalizer.
physical competition?
I didn't think it was physical. I don't think the question was.
It is. You've
I-
got to
I-
be coordinated. to do
I
those
thought it
things.
was just sport.
Yeah, it's
coordination.
like
Okay.
if
I see
like
that.
I
they're
thought it was just sport.
they're
Sport
they're
and
going to be
e-game.
part of the Olympics at this point. So
Yeah, that's really sad.
but
E-game.
Well, that is the next subject. Talking of
So
sport.
that means poker. Actually, if poker is in there, then yes.
Well,
Wrestling,
yeah.
we
sprinting, video gaming, esports. Parents have been yelling at their kids to put down the controllers and do something productive instead for years now. Now esports can get you a college scholarship, prize money, endorsements, maybe even a spot in the Olympics. The organisers of the Asian Games, which are the biggest games outside of the Olympics, announced that esports will be a demonstration event next. Call of Duty, Madden. Purists may be horrified. The Olympics and similar events are supposed to celebrate the ultimate in physical strength and skill, a showcase of athletes who've pushed themselves to go faster, higher, farther. Don't laugh. In February, the NBA announced it will start its own E-League next year, the first of 4 major professional leagues to do so. Where the rest of the world sees kids rotting away in their basements, marketing and sports executives see the all-important younger demographic and the dollars that go with it. When Ivo finds out about this, will he just go back and sit on a mountain in Bulgaria? What? Where are we going, with this? Esports. Goodness gracious, it can't be real, can it, Dr. Orlando?
so I'm always of the opinion that like we as a group and maybe we as a people get stuck in what the way things are as we remember them were, and so we talk about esports as somehow being not athletic, but I guarantee you, anybody that is athletic has a leg up on anybody that's not athletic when it comes to these games, because part of your developing your athletic abilities is developing hand-eye coordination. So anytime you're practicing your hand-eye coordination, you're going to make yourself better at video games. It's not a stretch at all for me to think about this as something that is placed in terms of a physical competition. But you're right, there are purists who will never ever be able to contemplate that you can have some fat guy in his basement, to borrow the term from current politics, that might be competing against, somebody that's,
It's not just a fat
But
guy.
here's
It's a
the thing.
400-pound guy sitting on his
But
bed.
still, the argument
If you
still
can only
remains.
quote
In
the
his
president,
mother's
at least
basement.
get it right.
But you get what I'm saying. Like, there's this.
But here's the thing, Lou.
Sure.
I hear where you're coming from, and I understand the physical aspect of it, but I would say that those games, first and foremost, they are more of a mental exercise more than a physical exercise. Because, again, going back to what Kath mentioned there, yeah, I might have very strong mental aptitude, but if I can't walk around the block without falling down and passing out, I'm not very physically fit. My physical prowess is extremely poor.
Right.
So I would say those games are mental first. I'm not saying they're not physical, but I would put them as mental first, physical way second.
You know what the difference is between the e-athletes or whatever? You don't watch the athlete. You don't watch the guy who's just moving his fingers a little bit. There's nothing exciting about that. What you might
Yeah, that's true. You
watch
just
is
watch
what's
the screen,
happening on
what
the
they're playing.
screen, which is it's that's
Well,
all
you can.
pretend.
You can watch the guy as he plays,
and that
he
will help
sees.
you fall asleep.
And
really.
drink
Right.
around.
Yeah.
Like whenever this topic comes up, and it comes up away from the panel. It's not like we sit around and talk. We've talked about this a million times. But whenever this topic comes up, like the very first thing that I always think of is Babe Ruth. Here's this big fat guy who was maybe one of the greatest sports stars of his time, like known for being corpulent, known for being a drinker, smoker, womanizer, so on, so on, so on. What could he do? He had one set of skills. He could hit the ball really, really far. He hit the ball so far he didn't have to run. He hit the ball so far that he could walk around base and like have people cheer and go crazy for him.
Okay.
Like there is
And that
a
would take more
current
eye-hand coordination than anything else.
yeah,
Okay.
there is a current push for physical perfection in our athletes. We like the mesomorphs. We like the 100%, 150% muscle-bodied guys, competing in whatever their favorite thing is. But that's technically not ever been what the Olympics in particular have been about. It's always been the test of endurance, the test of essentially what made a good soldier. So
But don't you need a strong physical?
not nowadays. Nowadays, what's the most important quality a soldier can possess?
Okay.
Wit.
I see where you're coming.
Wit.
Yeah. So for me, there's not a like I completely understand the purist argument, and there is something kind of repulsive about this idea that like because the 600 guy can figure out his 600-pound guy can figure out the way to hold his arms up long enough to hold a controller, he's now an Olympic athlete. Like that is disheartening, but that's
Little bit.
really kind of what we what we as a society right now.
Oh, yeah, it's
not
our
just
fault.
not
Oh,
just
yeah.
our society, but like
But
worldwide.
gaming, I've realised when I was thinking about this and reading about it, was that gaming, serious gaming, these guys in Japan and Asia who are doing
They're
it,
fit, yeah.
they have to be incredibly fit.
I know. That was
and
my opening.
stamina.
Yeah, that
It's
was my
amazing.
opening argument. That like you
I know, I wasn't
almost
listening.
don't get one without the
but
other.
The stamina of these guys is amazing, but is it? I mean, they're sitting still, so I guess they can eat. But people are talking about, well, could you bring chess into the Olympics?
Well, could you?
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Why not?
If you could bring poker in, you could
Why
bring
not?
chess in, you could bring Parcheesi in.
There's 1,000 events anyway. Why not one more?
Look, there's curling.
Oh, now you went there, didn't you?
I love curling.
You guys ever seen that movie Gamer with Gerard Butler?
Yes,
and
yeah.
Percy Jackson? To me, that's the
Terrible
first thing I
movie.
think of when I when I hear about this, because if you haven't seen the film, it's about this teenage boy in the future who it's almost like a dystopian society. So the poor, of course, are the targets, and if they are in jail, then they hook these guys up to the machine and the kids play them. So like it's an actual, almost like a gladiator-esque type of game where the kid is virtually controlling a real-life person in a horribly violent situation that they have to get out of. I feel like, even though I do believe the movie could have been done better, yes, Mike.
I liked it.
I don't think it was
Terrible movie, but I
horrible. It
liked
was
it.
an interesting concept, and that was the first thing I thought. I was like, now, if you could set something up like that for Olympics, then I would say okay. But just sitting, like Kath said, sitting there watching this guy, that's not entertaining.
But still, like the biggest thing on the not maybe not right now, but Twitch. When Twitch became a buzzword on the internet, like it is a internet service that's dedicated to watching people play video games.
And
it's a
getting
multi-billion-dollar
But they don't watch
industry.
the person doing it. They watch the video.
They
You
watch
can
both.
actually.
You watch both.
Really?
You can watch the guy as he plays and what he sees, like in the same frame. You can. In fact, you can have multiple frames with multiple people. Just depends on your settings.
Anybody wonder why Trump got elected? Anybody curious about that? I mean, wow.
Does he play video games?
He lives in his own video world.
Right?
He's got strong thumbs.
I'm pretty sure.
Yes. Bitty ones.
Not strong enough. His wife doesn't like him, apparently.
Well, I like what you said, Dr. Orlando. It depends on the fitness of that person playing the video game, right? Two people, you pit them together. They both have equally strong brains. One is fit more physically, one is less fit physically. If they have equal strong brains, the guy who is stronger physically fit will have the advantage. As equally, two people who are physically the same, one has a mental advantage. That guy with the mental advantage will have the advantage because they two are in one at the same. Someone who has physical problems also has mental problems. Someone who has mental problems probably also has physical problems too, as well.
No, I think that that's basically it. You're either going to, what we'll end up seeing is that if what Jeremy described at the beginning actually comes to pass, where we have things like, Olympics, where there's a Call of Duty section in the Olympics. What we're going to see is, at first, we're going to have this glut of characters that are performing, and it's not going to matter what they look like or how much they weigh or whether or not they can actually walk. But I think what will happen with this, just like with any other sport, like the people that are optimized for e-gaming and take care of themselves all around will become the star athletes. So
You could make it simpler. Suppose that instead of the complicated video games, you had just matched one person against another in, say, a dogfight in machines, so not actually in airplanes, and that going after each other down in the other guy's airplane, but it's all virtual.
So that's essentially what Call of Duty is. It's not necessarily a
Battlefield.
dogfight.
No, Battlefield.
Yeah.
The new
You're
Battlefield,
one-on-one
you can
that way?
do that.
Well, it's all, in these games. It's almost never one-on-one. It's usually massively multiplayer online. So it's a team of 16 over here versus a team of 16 over
Yeah, I'm
there.
thinking for Olympics, you might want to go one-on-one.
Why don't we
I
just
was
do
gonna-
this?
that
If
was
we're
gonna
talking
be
about
my
the
next
Olympics, what if we're talking about the Olympics? Why don't we just do this? So the athletes, they have to run a mile, and then they have to stop and go win a round of Street Fighter too. That's
Qualify.
no,
That's the
if they did
qualification.
that I would watch.
With the
That makes it a lot more challenging.
That makes it a lot more challenging.
You're just like,
Recently, Mr. Springer now and I were doing a radio show together, and we were talking about a story where Michael Phelps, a well-known swimmist, was going to race, or is going to race, a great white shark. Now, that led me to be thinking, what games would the Olympics use as an Olympic game? So I'm talking about e-games, right?
That's specifically Jaws on Nintendo Entertainment System that was released
I
in
immediately went to
1986.
Echo the Dolphin. So
Or Echo the Dolphin.
actually, this is an interesting concept. Put man up against nature and see how fast you fail.
Well, you saw that guy knock out
I would
the kangaroo.
I would too. Let's see
Well, they
how weak
already
you
do that
really
in
are.
America, and only America
No,
can.
you get a pack of wolves who are starving, and then you release them and make some guy just start running. Give him like maybe, I don't know, maybe like half a day. To
I
go
had
out
no
and run.
idea.
See how far that wit would take you then, Mikey.
Liam
Make it a
Neeson.
competition. I would watch that every single day.
Only in America could Americans mess up a perfectly good show where they do Naked and Afraid, and you're not, and the people aren't naked, are they? They blur out all the wobbly bits because it seems to me why.
So
It
you
seems
guys
to
don't
me-
mess up shows at all, like Man vs. Wild, when Bear Grylls is apparently not really out there all alone as though he advertises.
No, he stays in a hotel.
Yeah.
But he really does eat
But we're the
pee.
ones who mess up all the shows.
But if Bear Grylls was going to go naked in England, Bear Grylls goes naked in England.
Well, he
you know.
goes naked half the time when he's on
Right.
television.
Yeah, but we don't have all the blurry, fuzzy stuff that you've got to curl your eyes up to get an idea of whether the lady's naughty
So
bits are
just to
wobbly.
make sure you caught that, Jeremy says that if he concentrates really, really
I
hard,
got
he can
that.
imagine what Bear Grylls' wobbly bits
Which
look
shows
like.
you that he's really concentrating very hard. He's done
He's
this
talking
before.
from experience.
Exactly.
Bear Grylls is a interesting guy in his own right. You know, he's not some kid who thinks they're tougher than anybody else.
Oh, no, he's badass.
He jumped out of an airplane.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You know this? And his
He's-
parachute didn't open.
He's crazy as hell. He's
Right.
crazy as
What
hell.
did he
He's-
do?
He was a Marine commando, and he jumped out of in a big parachute drop, dropped out, and his parachute didn't open until he was about 2/3 of the way down. And then it opened, the emergency chute opened, broke his back, and he wanted to prove to himself that he could walk again.
Yep.
And he lives on an island just off the coast of Wales with his wife and kids. And annoys the planning authority.
I wouldn't mess with him.
Can we talk about something semi-serious?
Let's
for a
move.
second?
Let's move on. And Dr. Orlando has brought up a subject here on Wednesday Night Undressed.
I am wondering if you have any insights into the fire.
Grenfell.
I think it's very interesting as to when it happened. I was watching MSNBC, and the fire had was burning, and MSNBC were about to go to it just as the shooting happened in Washington. So, like a lot of Brits, we sort of had an inkling that something was happening, and this block that's 27 stories high, 270, 300 feet up, was on fire.
When you say block,
They're called tower blocks. We call them tower blocks. And London was very heavily bombed during the war. And Germans were doing a job. You know, it's not their fault. That's what they were doing. But it meant that large swathes of London were flattened. And so the powers that be in the 60s, late 60s and early 70s decided to build tower blocks. That way they could put lots of apartments in. There would be 4 apartments per floor, 27 floors. And the interesting thing is that they did talk about putting sprinkler system in, but the people who had the apartments didn't want their apartments ripped up, largely because they knew perfectly well they were going to get nowhere else to live while they were putting in the sprinkler system. The thing caught fire. The guy whose apartment, it was about 10, 15 stories up, and it was his oven that went up. He tried to put it out. He couldn't. And he then went out and started waking up other people on the floor to get them out. I think for me the sad thing about it is that there were people, shades of 9/11. There were people trapped. They couldn't get out, but they were actually safe where they were. But they were going to die. Right. And so one story which Eric and I did the other day was that there was a husband who come home from work, but obviously he couldn't get in because his wife is up there, and he was trying. His phone wouldn't get through, and so a fireman who had just come out, he tried, and he got through, and the guy was able to talk to his wife until she couldn't talk anymore. I think also that the 2 ladies who are with us, the concept of holding your child 10 stories up, right? That's 100 feet off the ground at least, right? And hoping that if you dropped your baby, someone would catch it. This woman threw her child out the window, turned, and effectively committed suicide, but she threw the child. A guy ran forward. He had played rugby when he was at school, and the baby came down, and he went for it, and he caught the baby. And it's a sort of thing that British kids are taught how to catch a ball. And he caught this baby and pulled the baby in, and the child lived. And in fact, other kids were caught because they were thrown out of the window. The place was refurbished, and unfortunately they didn't realise, I'm sure it wasn't on purpose, although it was a cost-saving exercise, that the panels that they put on the outside of the building were fireproof. As long as it wasn't over 200 degrees or something like that.
2,000, whatever the number is.
It was, yeah. And then they would go up.
Right.
And so what was happening was that the flames were just going straight up the side, and they couldn't get the people out.
Right.
That's the problem. The fire services were there. The London Fire, Police, Ambulance Service reckon 8 minutes. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be ISIS blowing people up to fires. They reckon 8 minutes, and they can have a full-blown operation going. What do you do at 27 stories? There's no way of getting people out.
I'm wondering what you think about the aftermath, because
That's
I
really-
saw, like this essence of Hurricane Katrina victims and how, nobody, well, I mean, I wouldn't say that. I would say the lack of response time and how these people are just sitting there waiting. So I was just wondering what you thought about that.
I think the thing is, for me, I know the way local councils work. They would not have a procedure for dealing with this. It's beyond their ken.
Right.
Jamie Oliver, who's
Does
a famous...
that absolve them of the responsibility, though? Like, are the complaints that people leveling against them still legitimate? I guess that's really kind of the question.
Everyone has been rehoused now. And in a city like London, rehousing people isn't easy, largely because the people, what they actually want is to be able to go back in their apartment. Right? You can't. You've got to live 5 miles down the road. Don't want to live 5 miles down the road. Want to live in my apartment. Find me an apartment. You're welcome. It's find me an apartment. And you just can't go clickety click.
Right.
Manchester showed this with the guy in the bombing. There was a homeless guy in the bombing, and he, instead of running away, ran towards the victims. One little girl, he was holding her. Her mother had died, been killed. She'd had her legs blown off, and he was holding her as she was passing away. He's become a hero in Manchester, and Manchester City said he will have an apartment.
Right.
And they couldn't find one. It took them a week to find him an apartment that anybody more than a dog would move into. I think this is one of the problems. It's never quite as easy as it seems. You would think hotels have opened themselves up. As I was beginning to say just now, Jamie Oliver, who's a famous international chef, the young lad, does all these initiatives. He had a restaurant nearby, or he has a restaurant nearby. He just opened it. What is interesting is that the Queen turned up. She's 91 years old, and she turned up, and she was talking to people, and she was there with Prince William, who's the future king. He'll be king in sort of 30 years' time. And yet again, she managed to be the nation's mother. She was the person that everyone wanted to see. And she stood there and walked around. She's a very little lady, 5 foot nothing, in heels. But she was walking around saying it's terrible, it's awful. And Prince William, one lady, Indian, Pakistani, I don't know where she came from, she stood there and lost it. And he walked back from the minders, and they have all these minders. He walked back. The Queen sat in the Range Rover, They were going to leave. The lights are flashing. And he got out and he walked back and gave this woman a hug. That's what it's all about. And Londoners do come together. As you've seen in recent terrorist attacks, London comes together. Don't forget that New York was attacked, with 9/11.
I'm pretty sure that we have all forgotten that by now. Thanks for bringing
but
that
London
back up to us.
has had it happen during the First War. It was bombed. The Second War, the largest air force in the world, tried to bring London to its knees and didn't manage to, so they started firing rockets at the place. Then the IRA tried it. Don't fuck with London, because it's going to carry on. We have tea bags and hot water. We're good. The milk will be delivered. And things that worry us are people who take a bite out of 3 Kit Kat bars at the same time rather than break it in half. Those are things. Those are the sort of things that drive Londoners crazy. Really and truly. But the bottom line is, if there's a fire in a hotel and you don't know how to get out, that's your fault. That's not the hotel's fault.
Well, but it sounds like you just described a situation where the building wasn't built to adequately address the problem of fire. I mean, it sounds sort of like the Titanic, the modern-day Titanic, and that's not the people that are in the building's fault. If you build
I think currently there are about 80 people missing. They're not ever quite sure,
right?
Because up high, the bodies have been so badly destroyed they're not even able to get DNA out of them.
Right.
They
can't tell if it's a body, and if it's a body, they can't tell whose it is.
Or two.
Right.
Some people were sensible. They managed not to panic. One lady saved her family by flooding the flat. We call them flats, apartments. She managed to flood it. She turned all the taps on. She knew there was something going on. She knew, and she wasn't terribly high up, 10 stories, and so the fire rescue services were able to get to her and get the kids out. But what she did was she covered everybody in wet towels. She didn't panic.
Yeah, well, that's a spurious
fault of the people there. He's not saying that. But it's very difficult to just find any one person or a group of people to blame. Sometimes things happen.
So, that being the case, then, like if the mayor or Theresa May is getting the blame, you would then say that that's probably not a legitimate.
It's not. I don't think. I mean, whilst I dislike Theresa May, and she's an amateur Margaret Thatcher when it comes to being hard-nosed. The bottom line is that there are very similar tower blocks within half a mile of that one. So, okay, they're probably dangerous. So let's empty them, shall we? And put, 4 times 27? How many flats is that? Well, it's 105 flats, I happen to know.
We have those exact same buildings here in the States as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And so because of what happened in London, we should empty all of them.
Yeah.
It's in a place that doesn't have.
But it's not going to happen.
And this is what happens when you get yourself elected, and you're in a council chamber or some sort of chamber. Someone's going to go, Madam Chairman or Mr. Chairman. We have this tower block, do, and it's got all these people in it, and it's not safe. Look what happened at Grenfell. So okay, fine. Where do we put the 105 families? Just out of interest, where do we put them? And since we're talking about Kansas City and there's 17 of these buildings, that's 17 times. So that's 17 times 100. That's 1,750 families. So where should we put them? Go on, answer the question. You can't say answer the question, smart ass, because that would be rude and the TV cameras are going to look at it. But where'd you put them? Go on, where do you put them? And bear in mind, they're not going to move anyway. They don't want to go. But Mr. Liberal Democrat, you've said they've got to go because they're unsafe. So what should we do?
You're getting
and
more
then,
and more
and then one of them
old.
does go up, and a bunch of people die, and you're going to come and knock on my door as the chairman of the council and say, "You bastard, you killed those people." That's what happens. It's just shit happens.
I don't
blame
know.
the French myself.
I don't know that I would not. I don't know that I could. That I could get behind that position, and I think what you just described is completely reasonable. I'm not sure that I could make it so that people would, if I were a politician in that position that you just described, I don't know that I could make it so that I would feel comfortable keeping my job.
Well, the point is that if you were a politician, do you want me to answer it as a politician?
Yeah, I do.
For too long, these apartment buildings have had stuff on the outside put on by
Look what you
contractors.
started.
No. I'm actually curious.
Contractors who are trying to save money. Did you know that the building contractor who did this wasn't qualified and drives a Bentley? It's
What are you
not
gonna do about
right
it?
that these building contractors take millions of pounds off us councils and they put up cheaper.
No, let's go back to this question. So what are you going to do about it, politician? What are you going to do
I'm
about
going
it?
to stand with you while you fight.
So you're going to blow smoke up my ass.
Yeah, you're not going to get him to say anything. He knows
no,
he's
no.
a
And
this is-
politician.
blow smoke up my
while you
ass.
Yes.
fight
Interesting
You can.
for
point.
safer accommodation for people who don't earn very much
So
money.
make it happen.
What we're going to do, let me tell you, taking the broad view, generally speaking, is we are going to look at.
Can I have
how
your
we
teddy bear?
make-
Because mine got burned up in the fire, so I need a new teddy bear. Can I have your teddy bear?
You may not have
They
my
don't
teddy
fight
bear.
words.
You're my politician. You serve me. I am a distraught child. Please help me.
What about your house? You got any extra room in your house?
Yeah.
No, you bastards.
Dude, can I live in like your garage? I mean, you got that nice little tool shed.
That
Can I
queen
live-
lady was out here. I'm sure she's got a couple extra houses she can put a few people
She's got
in.
lots of rooms in her palace.
Interestingly enough, one of the issues with the Queen putting over some accommodation in Buckingham Palace is that the people that she would give accommodation to would want to come and go freely, which has all sorts of security issues. More interestingly,
Can't put the Queen in danger.
we as a council, and as your representative, your member of Parliament, are currently negotiating with Holiday Inn Express to take over the local Holiday Inn Express at the council's cost to make rooms available for families who were based in there.
Don't tell
For-
me that's what you're doing. Just do it.
Well,
You're
you
my
asked me what we're
politician.
doing.
You are my servant.
We asked you. You
I
asked
elected
me
you.
reasonably what we are doing.
You are a leader because you are really my servant. Lewis and I don't have homes anymore. We need somewhere to live. So don't tell us you're
Then
doing this.
you
Just
are
do it.
you are a registered
You just
voter.
force them to do it. Don't.
You
don't
Jane, they're enjoying this way
You
too
are,
much.
you are a registered voter.
Yeah.
We know that you
Just
are on
keep
the
looking at the
registered
minutes,
polls.
ticking away.
Yeah.
And if you take yourself down to the Holiday Inn Express down
Fuck
the
this,
road,
I'm going to France.
you know, rooms will
The
be made
French know
available
how
to
to
you and
handle
your
these
family.
How to handle
situation.
this?
What have we been listening to? Oh yes, Wednesday Night Undress. Thank you very much indeed to our producer, Eric, the producer, and Neil Rasmus.
Neil.
And I want to thank the team. Yes, the magic Dr. Orlando, who couldn't put down a politician if he tried. The indefatigable Kathleen Taylor. The legendary marvel of sophistication, Jane Carter. Mikey Pokorny, who has sat quietly and in a most civilized manner, let me say, all the way through this. Jason Springer now, who has been a real pain in the arse, and
You're welcome, buddy.
you know, you couldn't become.
Look, man, someo's got to keep you honest.
You want to be.
Nobody can do that.
Politicians are as honest as the day is short.
It's fun to pretend.
Thank you for listening. Yeah.